Before I start talking about anything else, let's get phrasing the animation out of the way first. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about what Hiro has apparently contracted in this episode. So, can we all just admit that what Hiro has growing on his chest, like this bluish looking tumor thing that's pulsing, it's obviously a reference or a metaphor for probably STDs, because since this series has went out of its way to have sexual innuendos and stuff like that, and phrasing, it's obvious that illness, or whatever Hiro is currently going through, it's probably a reference for STDs. I mean, think about it. He's with a girl, and then all of a sudden after riding with her, regardless of how that sounds, he now gets this sickness to where it looks like he's dying. It seems like STDs. That's what it looks like to me. So, I just wanted to point that out, that's probably, like, the reason or the meaning behind it. Like, besides the story-wise, I feel like that's the meaning behind her message, because that is what, Studio Trigger and, A1 Studios have been doing since this series begun. But anyways, with all that out of the way, though, I want to talk about something, okay? It came very apparent to me after watching this episode and thinking about it, that the more I look at this interaction between Hiro and Zero Two, the more I realize what the meaning of this is. As I said already in this video, that, the two studios working on this, they are obviously doing a lot of innuendos and metaphors for, couples and stuff. And we do know that Hiro is someone that is going after someone he wants. He knows who he wants to be with, and he wants to be with that girl, basically, Zero Two. And in this case, when you look at the relationship between Hiro and Zero Two, like, throw aside, like, the story, okay, for a moment, like, the series, I'm just talking about the meaning of it, okay, the message. When you have Zero Two and Hiro hanging out and all that, it's kind of like Hiro is hanging out with a bad girl. For instance, Ichigo is the friend, the voice of reasoning. She is someone that has been with Hiro for a very long time, which she has in the series, and she knows how good of a person he is and who he is deep down. She cares for him deeply. However, with his interaction with Zero Two, he has started to change. He started to be a little bit different. He is going after her, and he is, succumbing to her temptation. That's the best way you can look at it. And so you can say, in this way, Zero Two is ruining Hiro. She is a bad influence on him. She is destroying who he is. And it's kind of like saying, a guy or girl chasing after someone they love and it ruins them. Have you ever heard that before? You probably heard that somewhere in your life, to where, like, you shouldn't be chasing after that boy, you shouldn't be chasing after that girl, because, they're gonna ruin you, they're not, good, influence on you. That's pretty much what I think is going on here. The message of Hiro and Zero Two's relationship, and what Goro and Ichigo are basically representing. They're the friends, they're the family members that have been around for a long time, and they're trying to persuade the dude to, hey, look, she's bad for you. Don't be with her. You need to get away from her, because she is destroying you. She's ruining your life, and she's also ruining your health, and that is what's happening. So, I feel like, at the end of the day, that's the message what Studio Trigger and A1 Studios are trying to create with this series, or at the very least, the relationship between Zero Two and Hiro. Now, if things will change and get better, that's left to be seen. But for now, though, it looks like they're going like that message of Zero Two is a bad girl, Hiro was a good boy that is now becoming a bad guy, basically, or a bad boy. That's pretty much the meaning there. So, getting into the actual episode, though, Zero Two, as I've already said many times in my reviews of this series, I like her a lot. I like Zero Two. She is best girl of Winter of Anime 2018. Easily. However, regardless of how much I like her as a character, I like her in general, she is not a good person. I just want to state the facts, okay? Let's get the facts settled, okay? This episode paints the picture of what Zero Two really is. If you have yet to see it coming full force these past couple episodes, this episode makes sure you become very aware that Zero Two is not necessarily a good person. She's a good character. I like her a lot. I love her design. I love her interactions in this series, but she is not a good person. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's clear as day after what she said to Ichigo a couple of times in this episode, like, oh, I stole him, you want him back and all that, but you two weren't compatible, you couldn't ride with him. Or saying like, oh, if, he dies, I guess he was worthless and all that. Basically not even caring if Hiro dies. She didn't care. Now, this obviously could be a lie, maybe, Zero Two doesn't know how to express herself in some ways, possibility. However, her overall interactions and the way she was acting towards people around her in this episode, or even just not even caring about, the plantation that's siding with our current cast of characters and trying to help them out, not even caring that she was responsible for someone's death in the past, even forgetting about it, it shows that she's very heartless. She is not someone that cares about others. Like, she's not a good person. Like, she might have some feelings here and there. We have seen this already from the previous episodes, but it does seem deep down, though, she is not, like I said, a good person. And I feel like that's going to be a big part to play in the upcoming episodes, especially next episode, because what Hiro is deciding to do. Now, there is examples in this episode that it is apparent that, 02 does care about Hiro in some way. I mean, she even noticed that, Hiro had that bluish-looking tumor growing on his chest. She knows about it. She sensed it, she saw it, she talked to him about it at the end of the episode. So, it does look like she is a little bit concerned about him. Like, it does seem like that. For her to even go out of her way and ask him about something like that, it does show that she is concerned, even if it's very slight. So, she's not completely heartless, but like I said, she's not a good person. Now, besides that, though, let's also talk about just seeing how Hiro, in this episode, he pretty much tried to keep everything in check. He didn't want anyone to know that he was sick. He was very, very bad off. Like, he was in a bad condition. Like, obviously, throughout the episode, he was running a high fever, he was not healthy in any way, and he was trying to keep this on the down low. And you can notice that Goro, he picked up on it instantly. He realized something was going on, and eventually he saw that on his chest and realized that Hiro is in a very bad state right now. Ichigo has noticed a little bit of things, and you have these two individuals like Ichigo and you have, Goro. They're both trying to figure out a way to help out, Hiro, but they can't do it anyway. They don't know how to help him because he doesn't want help and he's not listening to reason. He's going after 02. And so you have these two friends that care about him not being able to help him, and they just feel trapped or lost because their words are not reaching him. And it's very sad. It's a very sad episode when you look at it from that perspective. And I also want to point out that I really like Goro as a character. He's a very nice dude. Like, he's a bro. He is a straight up bro. And I have a feeling that his character might come, breaking down, shattering, and falling to the ground very soon. Because typically, in series like this, when things are getting very rough, especially when it's focusing around feelings and stuff, a character like Goro, he may seem very strong, strong-minded and all of that, but he is definitely one of those type of characters that are built up to come crashing down and breaking and have, like, their entire mind just shattered. For instance, I feel like Goro is going to have a mental breakdown very soon because whatever's going on with Hiro, or maybe whatever's going to happen and maybe his team is going to get in danger, I see the man having a mental breakdown and maybe having an effect on Hiro and maybe how he, interacts with, Ichigo and 02, but I do sense that happening very soon. So anyways, with that out of the way though, let's talk about, the new plantation that's, like, connecting or kissing with the other plantation, our main cast of characters' plantation, and how they're, like, forming a bond. So, kissing is very meaningful in the series. Regardless of innuendos and stuff, kissing in this series is basically where two plantations, they come together, and they have, this bond, and they exchange magma reserve. And as we know, the Klaxosaurs, they're drawn to it. They go after it. We've already seen this kind of explained. And so, with, these two plantations, merging, basically, like they're having a kissing segment, that means that Klaxosaurs are going to be coming in and they're going to be having to defend it. And so a big fight is coming and they're going to need everybody, all hands on deck, to be able to protect the kissing part of the plantations. And now obviously this means that Hiro has to ride with 02 once again, and this is his third time. And as we know, after 3 times, usually the person ends up dead. So, yeah, we'll find out exactly whatever happens to Hiro very soon, especially with this merging going on. But before I get more into that, though, let's talk about the other, new characters that were introduced in this episode that is merging with, this other plantation, or like, they're having a kissing and all that. These cast of characters that are introduced, they state that there's no adults. There's no adult FranXX riders. Like, no one's, riding mechs at all. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, that's certainly not suspicious and ominous. I mean, for that to be said, that implies that most likely the parasites, they all are gonna die before they reach a certain age. That's what I get from that scene. So, it's saying that they have a very limited life. They're not going to live that long. That's what I'm assuming. Either they're not going to live long because their lifespans don't last long, or they just don't expect to live that long because they're going to die out in the field. One or the other. But, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That was very shady in this episode. Very suspicious, very shady. Now, another thing to talk about, let's talk about the beginning of the episode where they were all sitting down, having some food and all that, like our entire cast of characters that were eating. And you know how normally in an anime you see how they say thank you for this food? It's a culture thing. It's a big thing you see in anime and manga. And, you know, I've always thought that was very fascinating. However, in this episode, yes, that little culture thing pops up, but instead of saying, like, you know, thank you for the food and all that, they attach something onto it and they say, thank you, Papa. Papa, thank you for this food. And Papa's been an ongoing thing constantly mentioned in this series, and it really puts in perspective of what Papa really is to these kids. Like, it seems like these kids have been brainwashed to the point to where they believe Papa is like this being that they need to thank constantly and is like a god, pretty much, to them. So I find it interesting. I wonder where that's going to go, especially with that little detail at the beginning of the episode. Now, another little quick bit to talk about before I end this video. We also have Mitsuru, you know, the dude that obviously has a, you know, inferiority complex. Like, he feels like he's inferior to Hiro. He's taking pills, apparently, in this episode. You see him actually chug some pills in this episode, and my assumption is either A, he's sick after whatever happened with 02 still, and he's taking pills for it, or B, it's anxiety or depression medicine, one or the other, because you do see him after that scene, or in that scene, he's grabbing his chest, which could imply that he might be having, like, chest pains, or, you know, he's having anxiety, or depression, because we do know, since he has an inferiority complex, he could be getting very depressed. So the medicine is either for depression or anxiety. I wonder what that's about. That's definitely going to be a big thing in upcoming episodes for Trigger and all of them to actually show that in this episode. But with that, I'm going to end this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a new video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, be safe, have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. Chibi out.